Today, we're going to be discussing quiet quitting.
Does anybody want to work anymore?
People are lazy, they're quitting, they're not working,
And then there's a rising get paid to don't work movement, getting millions of hits on TikTok and Instagram, calling itself quiet quitting.
TikTok stars make more money than America's top CEOs. This movement is awesome if you want to get out of the matrix.
Do you want to know what
quiet quitting
is?
People today don't really work hard. So can we look up the definition of what quiet quitting is? The main con I see in quiet quitting also allows you to develop new skill sets.
Americans are now soft that we're, quote, lazy and incompetent.
Look at his eyes. He's just like, where are you mailing it in? Like, my take on quiet quitting is, welcome to another episode of Make It Make Sense. Today, we're going to be discussing quiet quitting, what it is, how it's affecting the current workforce, and our perspective and thoughts on it. When I first just heard of the concept, quiet quitting, it has such a negative connotation associated with it. I was thinking like, damn, like people are going to pick this trend up and they don't really understand that no matter what decision you make in life, you're going to need to have some sort of skill set that produces value in a capitalistic society in order to be successful. And they just say, I'm going to just quit. Then I'm like, damn, people are going to be f***ed. So I wanted to really understand it a little bit more. Before I do that, I want to introduce my producer. Olivia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Olivia. I'm the producer here on Make It Make Sense, and today we're talking about quiet quitters, and I'm really excited to get into this because the statistics about the number of people that are quiet quitters in the US is just mind-blowing.
All right, so let's dive right in with this video.
Does anybody want to work anymore? This week, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, he was criticized for agreeing there was some truth to China's accusation that the United States is, quote, incompetent and lazy. I keep hearing anecdotally stories of small businesses having trouble hiring people who will show up for a second week of work. And companies that are trying to compel people to get back to the office are getting a lot of resistance. After Apple employees were asked to be back to a minimum of 3 in-person days, Fortune magazine reports 76% of Apple's employees were unhappy about it, with 56% saying they were, quote, looking to quit. And then there's a rising get paid to don't work movement, getting millions of hits on TikTok and Instagram, calling itself quiet quitting. The idea being, keep the job but don't work very hard at it and focus on getting fulfillment outside of work. Some are exploiting remote work to hold multiple jobs, getting paid to be mediocre at 2 jobs instead of being good at 1. Axios has labeled all of this the new anti-work movement, a rebellion against rise and grind.
First of all, I feel like he just took all the negative things, made it sound so horrible. Like, it's just like, hey, like people are lazy, they're quitting, they're not working, they're all anti-work. There's no nuance. Like he's taking a hard position that the quiet quitting thing is like nothing to think about here, which I think is total bullshit. Here goes all the facts to say this thing is bad. Like he's going right in, and there has to be another take is what my skeptical brain is saying here. What do you think, Olivia?
I'd like to know what he thinks lazy is, because as far as I'm concerned, if you're lazy, you're not getting your tasks and jobs done. I think that's the biggest thing for me. It's that idea of you being a quiet quitter means you're lazy. But no, you're still showing up to work every day. You're still doing your job. You're just not going above and beyond. You're not doing tasks that are outside your work scope.
A recent Gallup survey found that employee engagement in the United States is falling across all generations, but especially among younger Americans. Paige West, a digital creator who graduated from college in 2020, has been offering advice on quiet quitting on YouTube. Paige, thanks so much for being here. So you have an engineering degree. You left the corporate consulting world for the gig economy. How come?
Yeah, so I initially left because I wasn't finding fulfillment from my 9-to-5 job, and I saw that there was so much opportunity outside of the basic 9-to-5 corporate world that I really wanted to get into.
But were you mailing it in while someone was paying you? And if so, do you feel guilty about that?
I love how were you mailing it in? She clearly said, hey, there was more opportunity outside of what I was doing, and I was looking to take advantage of that opportunity. And he comes back, like, look at his eyes. He's just like, where are you mailing it in? She's gonna just go in on him. But I just love the fact that he just tried to come at her like, oh, like, are you mailing it in? And do you feel bad about mailing it in? It's like, bro, like, chill.
I still was working my 40 hours a week. I was still fulfilling my job duties. I was just taking away that feeling of stress I had after work by feeling like I needed to put in 1,000%, needed to join trainings and do as much as I possibly could to go up the corporate ladder. That just wasn't my end goal.
Do you worry that maybe a future employer, if the entrepreneurial activities that you're engaged in now don't pan out and later you need to be in someone's employ, they're going to take a look back at this chapter and they're going to say, wait a minute, Paige West, she was part of that whole quiet quitting trend. We don't want her.
I wouldn't think so, because at the end of the day, when I was still in my job, I was still doing what I needed to do. I'm certain if they called back my employer that I had when I was still in the corporate world, that they would happily say that I still did a great job, and everything I've done thus far and any references I could gain from my time building up my business and doing freelance opportunities would prove that as well.
First of all, quiet quitting, it needs to be rebranded. It can also be called starting a side hustle. Quiet quitting is just, you're starting from such a place that kind of just sucks. But essentially, like all she's saying is, yeah, I still crushed it at my job, or I did like what was required of me. But since my plan wasn't to move up the corporate ladder, yeah, like I was working my 40 hours and then I was doing my own thing. So, I mean, that's what I'm taking from it so far. Olivia, what about you?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I feel like I don't think people are lazy. I don't think she's mailing it in by just doing what she's hired to do. This guy needs to kind of rein it in a bit. He's going a bit crazy.
Yeah, bro, I feel the same. I mean, I love her point so far, but let's see what else you got to say.
Okay, so I get what you're saying. You're saying, hey, I gave them 100%. I think a lot of the others, I'll go old school and say, are loafing on somebody else's dime. Am I wrong?
They're not trying to loaf. Everyone is trying to do the work that's required of them. I think they're just trying to figure out what that fulfillment looks like outside of work, as well as they're not at the point where they're realizing that their burnout might not even be because they're overworked. It might be because they're misaligned in the job that they're in.
Jamie Dimon says maybe there's something to the Chinese when they say that Americans are now soft, that we're, quote, lazy and incompetent. Are we lazy and incompetent?
My vote would be no. I think it's more of a story that we are than anything else. Everyone I've seen in my life, even those who have partaked in quiet quitting, they're not doing it because they're lazy and incompetent. They're doing it because they see value in other things in their life besides just going up the corporate ladder.
The economic situation is currently changing, right? Houses are going up. People can't afford them. Inflation is super high. You can't just rely on an employer and that be enough to sustain you, buy you a house, take care of your kids, allow you to also invest, and then eventually like retire. There's a different model for living a happy, successful life. And I think that that's what we're all trying to figure out, essentially. So I wouldn't call it, lazy and incompetent. I would call it the paradigm shifting, and those who can successfully shift with it have a chance at living a pretty cool life or something that they're happy with, and not one where their happiness or how they make money and how they live is dictated by an employer. So can we look up the definition of what quiet quitting is? Quiet quitting refers to doing the minimum requirements of one job and putting in no more time and effort or enthusiasm than absolutely necessary. As such, it is something of a misnomer since the worker doesn't actually leave their position and continues to collect salary. My definition of quiet quitting, based on the new economic system going on in America where the middle class is pretty much getting removed. Like, you either need to find a way in order to satisfy like your life goals and hit them, and the corporate roadmap is not going to get you there. So therefore, while you do your job, have a side hustle and tweak and play around with different lifestyles until you find something that works for you. There's a whole bunch of different stories of success outside of working the typical like 9 to 5. This is one of the trends that I was talking about, where like these TikTok stars make more money than America's top CEOs. I think it's less about the TikTok stars and more about that you can create a job, income, and a lifestyle for yourself without necessarily working a 9 to 5. If you're associating making money with value, these guys are providing enough value to make more money than some of America's top CEOs. I'm kind of curious. Charli D'Amelio, who started posting videos of herself dancing on TikTok in 2019, brought in $17.5 million last year, according to Forbes, which recently ranked the highest earning TikTok stars of 2021. By comparison, the median pay for chief executives of S&P 500 companies was $13.4 million in 2020, according to the Wall Street Journal analysis of data. The reason why people are looking for avenues to make money outside of what they're currently doing is because it's possible and it's beneficial, and corporations may not necessarily take care of most people, and so you have to do that. It's not really an option. And I just hate the word quiet quitting associated with it because it has such a negative connotation.
Oh, I definitely agree. When I finished school for marketing, to get an entry-level job, you needed 5 years of experience just to get in. So for me, there was no way. The only way I could even get that experience was to be freelance. So I started freelancing, and I've been doing it for about 5 years now. I probably make more than what some people that have been working in marketing for 5 years do already.
Oh my goodness.
And I completely set my own hours. I can do my work from anywhere. I can travel. I moved to England just so I could have a different kind of lifestyle. Not only do I probably make more than people that have worked about the same time that I have in marketing, I have the freedom to do other things as well. I'm not tied down to someone else.
This article, this Gallup article shows exactly like what we're talking about, right? Which is the workplace has gotten worse for young employees, right? It's not ideal. The percentage of engaged employees under the age of 35 dropped by 6 percentage points from 2019 to 2022. Young workers have dropped 10 or more points in the percentage of who strongly agrees that someone cares about them, someone encourages their development, and have opportunities to learn and grow. I think that's key. Like if you don't have like a mentor or somebody helping you, or actually have a career path that gets you to your end goal, why wouldn't somebody try to figure something else out? Like why would they be satisfied if you just want them to do a job in order to further your capitalistic goals or whatever? Disturbingly, less than 4 in 10 young remote or hybrid employees clearly know what is expected of them at work. Jobs constantly change, right? If you look at all the layoffs, companies now hire and fire quickly. Because it's so transactional, you have to find your own path. And so with that said, let's go into the pros and cons of quiet quitting. First of all, let's change the context. It's not quiet quitting, right? It's finding meaning and finding success in your life. You have to start to think about how you're going to create a lifestyle that makes you happy and earns you the amount of income that you see that you need in order to be successful. Quiet quitting also allows you to develop new skill sets. If I did well at this job and I'm also running a side hustle, I'm doing them both successfully, I'm clearly more capable than someone who can only do just one task, only has like one skill set. Corporations aren't really fulfilling all of employees' needs from how they are able to do things that are important to them, such as invest and buy a house and have work-life balance, or find something that they're passionate about, and therefore people have to do it on their own. This just shines light on that. The cons of quiet quitting: if you're just quitting and you're not doing anything, well, not only are you gonna get fired, you're not gonna be able to do anything else. You're gonna be labeled as lazy. The main con I see in quiet quitting is the fact that if you really just quit and are just looking to receive pleasure outside of work, working for yourself or running a side business or a side hustle is hard. And so if you're using quiet quitting as a way just to find happiness outside of work and not really using it as a pathway to get to an end goal, I think you're going to be very unsuccessful at it and very unhappy doing it. So to kind of summarize, like my take on quiet quitting is it's more worker dissatisfaction in the fact that if you don't find a path that allows you to make enough money to live the lifestyle you want to live, you're going to be right? There's no other way to kind of put it. And so if you know that, now you can figure out a way where you could make money, whether that's being a digital creator, like Paige West, starting a YouTube channel or some side hustle that allows you to earn income that may potentially allow you to make more money than, a S&P 500 CEO. This movement is awesome. So I think that's all I got. Olivia, any last words from you before we wrap this one up?
I totally agree with everything you've said. I don't think I could say more, really.
All right, so with that said, you know what's up. If you like content like this, subscribe to our channel and subscribe to us on all the socials that are out there. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that good shit. And with that said, I'll see you in the next video.